Welcome to the next episode of the Success Realtor podcast by yours truly, Colleen Wood. Here is where we celebrate success in real estate and share the wisdom and struggles so others can be successful too. If you are a new listener, I am the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders, and I am known for helping realtors earn a lot more money in commissions without selling their soul to the industry and maintaining balance with what's most important in life. Today, we are talking to my friend and repeat guest, Tara Bowman, Realtor with Berkshire Hathaway out of Polson, Montana. Tara, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm so lucky to have you twice, three times, right? Awesome. That's what I thought. That's so nice to see you again.
It's great to see you too, Colleen. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. And I am just like your biggest fan. I just love you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I just love it. It's so much fun to have friends in the industry. It's a very competitive industry, and it's just so great. Once you get into the 5-year group, the 10-year group, you start realizing that you have more friends than you have foes. So you are definitely my dear friend. I'm so excited to chat with you today. We have big stuff to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about what made your 2022 so awesome. When other people were having struggles, you were actually surging forward. And what made you want to change brokerages? You just did that big change too, on top of everything else.
I did. So to dive right into that one, I wasn't necessarily unhappy where I was.
Sure.
It's common for realtors to switch brokerages. But honestly, the biggest deciding factor for me was marketing. I wanted to be able to brand myself because you build these relationships, you interact with your clients, you become the face of what they know. And, all of our marketing is targeting top of mind, right?
Right.
That people see you and go, I know who you are. In fact, last week, no kidding, I had 2 different people on 2 different days saying, hey, aren't you a realtor? And one of them, I was in Kalispell. I wasn't even here in Polson. I was up in Kalispell and someone stopped me in teaching Max and asked me that. And so with knowing that we have to stay top of mind and remind people who and what we are, and hey, I'm here, I'll help you, I'm here for you. I knew that my marketing had to come back to me. It had to be about me and not highlighting the brokerage, which is great. I mean, they're for separate purpose and they are important. And understandably, they want all the marketing to come back to them to build their image and what they're building as far as marketing goes. But I couldn't continue with the marketing and branding that I wanted to do personally.
Yeah.
So that was the deciding factor. And I didn't want that to limit me because I'm in it for the long haul and want people to know who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see it on both sides. In fact, I just had another realtor friend go into a brokerage because she felt like she was having to create all the marketing and do all of that. And she wanted something that was a little bit more copy paste and wanted a recognizable brand. And so she wanted it the other way. So, I mean, there's different strokes for different folks, and there's so many different ways that you can run at it and do your marketing and have the support that you need. So, that's wonderful. I know that you had a great brokerage before, and you clearly had a wonderful year. You closed 16 transactions for over $10.2 million. But girlfriend, on your second year, but not even your second year, because your second year anniversary will be in February of this year, but you didn't really get your feet on the ground until like summer. Is that right?
Right. So June of 2021, right at the time when I got my license, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and she passed away at the end of spring. And so just the transition with all of that, I was not ready. I already made a career change, but I'm not quite ready to turn everything upside down. So it was June before I really was engaged in the market.
That's bananas, because the last time that we talked on my other podcast, Leading Ladies of Montana Real Estate, you were kind of saying, hey, my goals for the year is about 2 million. Where did that come from? 10 million? That's crazy.
Well, like we talked about, I was really unsure of what kind of a goal to even set last year with only having had 6 months prior to that in the industry. So
Amazing.
thank you. My broker said, all right, everybody's goal starts here, 2 million. I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know I don't even know how to make that happen. Right.
Yeah.
And so then during the podcast, as we visited, Alicia said, no, you got to do at least 5 million at the time. And I know I've been in sales a
She's
long
a
time.
slave driver.
She totally is. And I'm like, you have to have a goal that makes you sick to your stomach. You absolutely do. And 5 million was, I'm like, all right, I don't know how that's going to happen. And what I can say, what I personally did is I kept my head down and I worked my butt off.
Mm.
Every contact, every lead I got, every body that even hinted at anything, follow up, follow up, follow up. I called, I emailed, I texted. When I knew people were coming to town before they got here, I was sending listings and let's check this out. Let's check this out. I can make this full plan. We'll see this and this and this and this. And I just I was like a dog on a bone. I just stayed after it. And even as the market shifted, in the end of June into July last year, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And as buyers started to pull back a little bit, I don't want to be panicked because I don't think it's really panicked. But as they pulled back a little bit, I had sellers who said, what do I do? And honestly, my advice to some of them was your property is overpriced
Yes.
now because we've shifted and your long-term goal is this. And selling your property at this doesn't serve you to reach that goal. And I didn't have to tell some of my sellers, not have to. I chose to give them good advice for them and say, you need to pull your listing off the market. If you can't take it to this price point, this doesn't benefit you. And building that relationship when they knew that I was 100% in their corner, that's lifetime relationships right there.
Absolutely. And, those were hard conversations last year to have. And there were a lot of sellers who had their heart set on a very inflated price. And as things continued to adjust, we did need to see people make those adjustments on price. So good for you for being brave to not let your listing hang out there very long, being overpriced and just having that conversation. Cause that's how we serve our clients best is we've got to give them great advice. And that's what you did. That's incredible.
Thank you. It's so important. And to me, I find it surprising that there's a deficiency of that sometimes in how our clients are treated. Too many times the focus is on make the sale, get the transaction, get down the road, on to the next one, and truly serving our clients. That's why I do what I do. I love people. I love helping. I want to give them the best options, the best opportunity. And as soon as they share with me what that goal looks like and what that is that they're working on or what's most important, that becomes my focus too. And I just want to help people make their dreams come true. As cheesy as that sounds, it's really all I want to do.
It's not cheesy because it is what we do. And very few people get the opportunity to provide that to other people. Not only are we their cheerleaders, but like we put the wheels in motion and we create generational wealth through real estate. That's what we do. Very few people get to say that. Like I always laugh because there's nothing about what we do that's negative. Your side of it, the real estate side of it, the lending side of it, we don't hurt people in any way. Everything that we do is positive. So sometimes we have to help them navigate through a life challenge, a life change, which can be sometimes hard for people. But I know that's one of my favorite things about you is you lead with your heart, you serve your clients 100%. It's not about ego for you. It's about doing the right thing. You are such a figurehead in your community and people know you. They're seeing you and they're seeing your personal branding. So Tara, it's working.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. Oh,
You bet. So, what would you wish that you would have known when you started out hardly like a year and a half ago and now you're killing it? What would you have liked to have told yourself back then that you know now?
probably the first thing I would say is you got this.
Ugh,
Just keep at it.
yes.
You just have to work. That's the thing. You have to work. And there's going to be hard times. And the hardest parts are when you have to have those hard conversations and people don't want to hear what you have to honestly share with them. When it comes from the right space, it's received typically well. So my advice would be keep it up, do the hard work, do the things that nobody else wants to do, but also not to limit myself because I felt like, okay, this is all I can do. And
Right.
now I realize, no, I can do anything I want. So,
Darn right. That's true. I always like that when we're setting goals, that your goal should scare you. I agree with that. And the reason why I love that is just the old saying that if you shoot for the moon, at least you'll end up among the stars. I mean, you took that to the next level. I mean, you were aiming for 5 million and look where you ended up at 10. I mean, that's just incredible. But advice to anybody out there, it's okay to have a big outlandish goal. Don't set your spending as if that you're going to have those goals. I mean, don't pre-spend that money.
no,
We see that happen too, right? But definitely set some high goals. And it's beginning of 2023. It's a great time to be setting goals. So good for you. I'm so proud of you. Okay, so how are you defining success for 2023?
well, I definitely have new goals for the year, and they definitely make me sick to my stomach.
Please
Um,
share.
yeah. Well, I want to double sales. I want to be at 20 mil.
Wow.
And and I want to do 40 transactions.
Mhm.
So not that it's about the transactions, because what I really want to do is just help people. And the transaction is just a representation of all the people that I get to help. So those are my starting goals. I, have some smaller ones, like I want to do 50 listing appointments throughout the year. I want to be talking to my people, calling at least, 10 people a day and focusing on that. So that's what I did is I took those big goals and I moved backwards and broke them down into how do I connect? How do I stay talking to people so that I'm the person that they want to ask questions of or interact with or participate in things in the community? Because at the end of the day, success is not just about, hey, I reached my goal. Hey, I did this thing, because it's about being a good human because I want to help others. And that also looks like I want to serve in my community. I want to sponsor, we have an amazing museum here in our community, and it is like top of my list of who I want to be able to assist this year. We're trying to build an ice rink. Hockey happens to be my favorite sport. So I want to sponsor the ice rink.
You should.
Yeah. So that's the plan this year and what some of the ways that I want to get back to my community. And I'm just really excited about that. I'm like, I'm going to go watch hockey right here in Polson. I don't want to drive to Whitefish or what. I want to do it here.
No. I'm surprised you guys don't have a hockey rink already in Polson. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. No, we don't. I mean, we just barely got a pool a few years ago. So that was quite an endeavor.
Well, I can securely say that with you having that goal in mind, that Polson will have an ice rink for hockey and for figure skating and for people just to enjoy. I absolutely know that will happen with you being in charge.
Oh, well, thanks. So I
Yeah.
just stay quiet. I don't need the notoriety. I just want to help.
No,
Validate.
I know you're not looking for notoriety. I just want to make sure that, I know that when you look at a goal, you will achieve it and you're doing it for the right reasons, which
Yeah,
draws the right people to you.
it really does. It really does. So getting back to your question about success, though, I think success is a constantly evolving elusive unicorn. I say that jokingly, but I think it's ever changing because it can't ever just be a one and done thing. We can't say, oh, hey, remember in 2005, I was a really great wife. So I don't have to be a great wife anymore because check, I did that. Or I was a good mom, or, I was a good neighbor, sister, friend, whatever that looks like. It's constant. We need to check in on those things and that reassessment of the radio check. How are we doing? How am I doing? And so one of the things I'm doing is tracking consistency for me. Because when I'm not being consistent, that's what I can say, all right, here is the problem. And here's what I need to work on. And unfortunately, that work-life balance is elusive. There is no perfect balance. And we have to recognize that it ebbs and flows. Things are always constantly shifting, but that doesn't mean that we can't be successful
Mhm.
in it. So it's just important to check in. I think. Be realistic about what we can do in a day.
Yeah. But I hear you talking about consistency in your activities and making sure that you're doing the right activities. What are the right activities do you see going into 2023 in order to double your pipeline?
Well, with a really great year last year, one of the things that I learned is I got a big fat zero at taking good care of myself. And I was pretty wiped out by the
Mhm.
end of the year. And so that's one of my priorities now is to make sure that first thing in the morning, I love that quiet time by myself. I'm a night person, a night out completely.
Mhm.
But I have the option of getting up at 5:30 and being out by myself for an hour. I'm all over it. So making sure I fill my cup first thing in the morning. So I try to work out, read my scriptures, pray, meditate, focus on, and I have a plan for the day. These are the three things that have to happen.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And here's the list of a gazillion other things I'd like to have happen too. We'll see if they happen. Sometimes things roll to the next day. So that's my first thing about consistency is taking a little bit better care of me. Second thing is that I have lists of who I've talked to, what I need to touch back, what we talked about, so that when I call and say something, I'm not asking about, Aunt Gertrude, who she told me last call. Oh, yeah, my Aunt Gertrude died.
Yeah.
You didn't want to call and make that mistake. So
Right.
it's important to know your people and
Mhm.
know that. So when you talk to them, you can come from a place of, hey, I like you. I care about you. I'm not here for a transaction. I'm not about
Right.
benefiting me. I'm actually wanting to serve you.
Mhm.
So having a list of knowing who I'm talking to and when,
Mhm.
that's another one of my success points.
Yeah,
And
let me interject on that because some people have a real hang up with that. They're like, if you have to have notes on somebody, you don't really care about them. Or, if you can't remember what they said to you last time, then you must not really care. And that is just not true. That
yeah,
is just not true. And because we talk to so many people, and I know that your heart is the same as mine, that I really, really care for these people. And I know you do. But our brains, especially our mom brains, every time we put something in, like three things fall out the back. So we can only hang on to so many things. So it is a great
right.
idea to take notes on your conversations that you have with your clients and potential prospects or friends, even so that you can just kind of go back and make sure that you're up to speed as to what happened.
I'm to speed. And one thing that they shared with you last was I can't do this week, but in another month, I'll be ready for whatever it is, a trip, doing something, and you don't think it, you forget.
Mhm.
So that's on you. You're not
Mhm.
being a good friend. You're not being a good community member or whatever capacity you're filling if you don't remember those details. And it
Right.
was so I'm the mom of a lot of kids, and you know
Tell us.
what? I can't even keep my kids' names straight. So
Tell them how many kids you have.
I have 8 kids,
You have
and
8 kids.
so most of them are out of the house. Most of them are married, and I have 2 grandbabies. And the commentary of, well, if you have to write it down, we must not be that important. It's like, for crying out loud, I can't remember anything. I have to write everything down, and there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. So,
Right. But to inspire our listeners, there's a lot of people that, maybe aren't watching this on YouTube and they're listening to it. And maybe they're thinking that you're brand new, you're young, and you don't have any responsibilities, and that's why you could just have this great big year. Guys, she has 8 kids and 2 grandbabies and a husband. 5 grandbabies? 5 grandbabies. Holy cow. And she's managing to grow a business, and you can too. And the way it works is, and wouldn't you agree with this, Tara? You've got to live and breathe by your calendar. If you tell your girlfriends that you're going to go have wine with them, put it on your calendar. So then you're not a crappy friend next month when you forgot, when you said that you would. Everything has to go on your calendar.
Absolutely does. It absolutely does. Even those simple things that you're like, oh, I'm not going to forget about that, or I'm not going to forget about this, or this is important enough, I will remember. Well, even if you do remember, if you don't take the time to put it on a calendar, you're going to get to the end of the month and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see so and so this month. Okay, well, hopefully next month. No, not hopefully. It only happens if you plan it and schedule it. And I sent my best friend a meme last night, and it said, adult friends are like, hey, what are you doing in March?
Or would you please call me and tell me when it's your birthday so that we can celebrate? Because I really want to. I really do, but I'm not going to remember. I don't even know my own birthday. I was giggling with my team because, in the time that it takes for your computer to load, I've already forgotten what it is that I'm trying to do to go to that wherever page I'm trying to go. I've already forgotten. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, that's just where we're at. We've got 100 things going on in our brain, but you have a system. You have a plan about how you just go right ahead and write it down. Now, are you writing it down and like, do you use your phone? Are you doing just plain old fashioned legal pad and pen? What do your notes to yourself look like?
Well, actually, they're a mess, but I'm always making notes. So that's my husband was teasing me about it last night. He's like, I can go around the house and I can find your book. I can find sticky notes.
Yeah.
I can find this notepad. I can find the back of an envelope that you scribbled something on. It's like literally whatever's handy. Because when a call comes and a client or anybody calls, I have time to say, just a minute, I need to write
Mhm.
notepad. I need to write this down. Sometimes I'm driving in my truck and I can't even write. I mean, I texted it, but it's not great. So I love talk to text, love it. And I dictate a lot into my phone or notes later that will jog. And so,
Smart.
yeah, I have to. So at the end of the day, I try, not 100% on it yet, but at the end of the day, I really try hard to just take 10 minutes, collect all my notes, read through everything, and then make my game plan for the next day.
Right.
Because remember when I said I was a night owl? I wake up in the morning, I'm really good on autopilot, but then when it comes time to actually have to think, I'm like, "Man, I don't know, what am I supposed to do good now? Okay, where? I have to write it down."
Yep.
So that's how I help my future self is I make a list. So
Yeah.
tomorrow I can say, oh yeah, that's right. I need to call so.
You put yourself in response mode, but it's response mode to your own dictation. Because a lot of us in any sort of sales, you're the same way that I am. People are calling and they're sending you one direction, another person's calling and you're going another direction. And then, like, somebody lost their key, or somebody can't get into a house, or then you find out your dog is running loose downtown. Like, we're going all these different directions. So you're just in response mode. To change your response mode to just responding to your own calendar by putting every single thing on your calendar. My team says all the time, they're like, your calendar's completely booked for the next 2 days. And it's because I put every single thing on my calendar. And even if it's just calculate tax return income, call Tara back, get notes over for next presentation over to Hayden, whatever it is, it's on my calendar. So we can just respond. You don't have to be smart, right? You don't have to
You
remember that.
have to be smart because you got to be smart to write it down. You can't. So,
But you don't have to remember in the moment what it was that you remembered last night. And so, yeah. Well, and when it comes to systems, you guys don't overcomplicate it. Whatever system that you're going to use is the right one. Some
it
people
is.
really,
It
really,
is. Yes.
yeah. Some people really love tech things. Some people love those remarkables. They love having spreadsheets or an app or something like that. I myself, I do best with pen and paper, legal pad. I do a lot of sticky note stuff and then my calendar. And sounds like you are very similar, Tara. We're old fashioned.
We are old fashioned, but one thing I have to say is that you want a way to help commit it to memory or improve that. Thinking, hearing, say, writing, all do that. And when we do multiple steps of that, it helps solidify it even more in
Right.
there of what we're trying to do. So I did get a new planner for this year, and
Good.
and I'm not trying to plug the planner, but I really like the one that I have, and it does the day at a glance. So it's a smaller one, like 5x7, probably the size of it. So you can write in the top 3 things you want to do that day, but then there's like a zillion lines for all the other things. So when I'm working throughout the day, it just sits open, spiral bound, so it's flat on my desk.
I love
And then
that.
when I have a thought, scribble.
Yeah.
And so then that way I have a working to-do list right there in front of me. And then I don't have scraps of paper everywhere. And so it goes everywhere with me. So when I'm like in a week, and I know I will be, because I have the brain where I'm like, I know I wrote that down on the left-hand side of the page, top corner, and I was using a blue pen, but heck if I can remember what I wrote. And I can go back through it and find it. So you're right. The system that you will use is the best one. So
Right.
maybe don't let people make fun of you because it's old fashioned. Whatever works for you is what
Yep.
works. So
Whatever works. Whatever works. Okay, Tara, my last question for you. Is there anything that is holding you back from moving closer to your dreams?
yeah, there is actually. I need to clone myself. That way. So since that's my other option, I know that I have to work smarter and I need a well laid out plan. But life still happens. I've had a couple days in the last week. So my 12-year-old daughter does school at home
Mm-hmm.
and she does online school by our choice. That's what works best for our family. I'm not her teacher anymore. I don't homeschool.
You are so amazing. I don't know how you do it all.
Not really. But when your kids don't leave for school, sometimes you have hairy mornings and,
Mhm.
you got to deal with emotions and games. So those can easily derail you. And it's really easy to be like, "Oh, okay, I just can't get my head back into this."
Mhm.
So I know that I am the biggest bottleneck of me, but I know I have strengths and weaknesses. And the one biggest weakness I have had is calling people back, honestly. And I'm not talking like when somebody calls and says, "Hey, I want to know about this property." I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the consistency of staying in contact long. That has been my biggest challenge. So that's why it became a goal. And everybody makes fun of New Year's resolutions. Fine. Make them in February. Make them in June. It doesn't matter. When you
Doesn't
see
matter.
problem, find a solution. Don't just come with a problem, come with a solution. Figure out how to make it better.
Right.
So that is one of the things that I'm working on in my business this year is to be forefront and making sure I'm having those connections because I can do all the busy work in the background and it doesn't matter at the end of the day if I'm not talking to people because this is a people business.
It is. So I want to ask you then, because you said this, and I know I said it was the last question, but it prompted another question. So a lot of us know, and it's not just moms, because I know dads do it too, but we all know what you're talking about the hairy mornings, about the ones that just like completely go sideways. We need to get out the door by a certain time and something happens. And sometimes we are the catalyst for absolute meltdown. But if you've had a hairy morning and maybe there's been some tears, or maybe there's just somebody's mad, but you still had to kick everybody else out at school or wherever they had to go or get them started on their homeschool. How do you reframe yourself to start being productive in your business? How do you turn yourself on?
A couple things. You can't see my screen of my computer or my keyboard here, but I have notes for myself. And one of them is I refuse to be average.
Yep.
Refuse. So what does that mean? That means that I have to shut the door on those emotions, those hard times, those moments. And if that doesn't work, then I have a couple really good songs that I turn on and I listen to them and they always flip my mindset. And I'm like, all right, game on. Let's get back to it. Got stuff to do. I also have to be by myself. I have to lock myself in my office, whether it's here at the office or at my home office. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I need 2 hours. And
Mhm.
that's just for me to sit there and be mad. Or I try not to be that way, but I just like to respect my time.
Right. My encouragement and coaching on for people is to compartmentalize your feelings with where your feet are.
Yeah.
And if you're at the office and you're supposed to be following up on your leads, or you're supposed to be calling somebody about a current transaction and you're still thinking about what happened that morning, you're not being present where your feet are.
Yeah.
But that goes vice versa, right? When we are being present with our family and we're home and we're trying to be a mom and a wife and a sister and a friend and all those things, to try as hard as we can. I know we're all glued to our phones and glued to our emails, and that's kind of what makes us successful, but it also makes us a bad friend and a mom and all those things. So trying to be present wherever you are as best as you can. And that's been huge for me.
Too. Me too. I really tried to, when notifications come in on my phone,
Yeah.
it's like, who am I talking to in person? What am I doing right here
Yeah.
with my husband or my children? And it's a difficult time. I am not picking up my phone because when I want somebody to do that to me, no. So we do need to treat each other the way we want to be treated. So my
Mhm.
husband and I, we own a couple other businesses. And so we both know though that during work hours, when the phone goes off, hey, we'll have to just,
Yeah.
this is work time.
This is
So
work time. I heard from someone years back that by, putting your finger at somebody, your pointer finger to say just a second when you're going to answer the phone is giving your family the finger. It's a different finger, but it means the same thing. It means you don't matter. It means you don't matter. So I've really had to spend quite a bit of time with my family to say, just so you know, all the money that happens in this house is because of this stupid phone that I would like to drop in the toilet and never see it again sometimes. But that's where the business comes in. But when it's during work hours, I've got to answer this, but if it's during their time, I need to be present for them.
yeah.
Biggest fight I ever had with my husband was he was telling me about something and my operations manager called me. It was in the middle of the day and I was home. So it was work hours, but I was trying to be more present at home. And she called and I picked it up in the middle, like we were talking and I picked it up and I was like, hello, like in the middle. I knew that he saw me do it, but something didn't register. And I started talking with her when I was literally looking at him and it really, really caused a problem. So check in with your spouse, check in with the person. Hey, do you mind if I get this?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are times a day where it just, I have to. So I'll be like, I'm sorry, I have to say this.
Yep. Yep. I will be right back. But yes, Tara, thank you so much for joining me today. You just dropped so many pieces of wisdom for us. And I just know that this year's going to be even better than last year. You're going to have a phenomenal year and you've got the right team behind you in order to build the brand that you want. And it's just going to get even better. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I love visiting with you. I just think you're one of the coolest people I've ever known. And I love
Oh,
all the things that you do to give and give value and help others. And you are such an engaged, active participant, not only in your work circle, but your community, your family. And it just shows that you genuinely love people and that you care about doing what's best for others. I love that about you.
well, gosh, I'll take that every day of the week. Thanks for loving on me too. I really appreciate it. We could do this all day. Thank you, Tara. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care. Thanks.
Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Just as a reminder, I am the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders. What we are known for are three things. Number one, we close on time. Number two, we keep our realtors in the sales seat at all times by keeping them updated on their current transactions. And number three, when you entrust us with a lead, we follow up on that lead until they buy, fly, or die. Leads are never lost to our lack of follow-up. Our number one priority is for you to earn more money in commissions so that you can improve the lives of your family, community, and in turn, our country. So, can I count on you for that next buyer lead? I would love to work with you too. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on the podcast, please just reach out to my office. All right, we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Bye-bye.